Blake Lively's most popular unhinged moments ended in lawsuits, but there are many more that you would be surprised to find on this list as we dive deep into many crazy moments where Blake did the most unbelievable thing. One big unhinged moment of Blake Lively was when she spoke to another producer on set, Jamie Heath. Blake mentioned Jamie in her lawsuit, and he isn't just a producer on set, but also the CEO of Wayfarer Studios and Justin's best friend. There was a scenario on set where Blake asked Jamie and other executives to meet in her trailer. After Jamie had knocked and was invited in, he discovered that Blake was having makeup removed from her collarbone while breastfeeding, but not topless, and went ahead to ask if he could return at a later time. However, Blake declined and told them to proceed with the meeting as planned. But the strangest thing happened 2 weeks later, after Blake told Jamie she had seen him make eye contact with her, which made Jamie immediately apologize, saying he didn't realize he looked her way. But the weirdness continued with Blake's remark, "I know you weren't trying to cop a look." That exchange between Blake and Jamie, where she took offense with the producer looking into her eye, comes off strongly as being racist. It's pretty well known that it was a huge and dangerous thing for a black man to do during slavery, where they got executed just by exchanging glances with white women. And Jamie is a black man who happens to get into a situation where Blake is angry that he made eye contact with her, which is insane because that's literally where people look while communicating. It's absolutely a bad look for Blake, who had her wedding on a slavery plantation, which all adds up to why the comment she made to Jamie is nothing but disgusting. For Blake to have had an intimate wedding celebration on a piece of land where slavery blocks still exist and black people were once oppressed by white masters already says a lot about her and how many of the issues she had with Jamie was trying to tell him he doesn't have the right to make eye contact with her. It gets messier the more you look at it because Blake also once revealed that she loves fashionable items from the slavery era, and no matter how you choose to look at it, this doesn't end anywhere good, especially for Blake. Also, she once said she had to cosplay as a black girl to become a geek who stalks boys, which is disturbing.
My best friend and I, when we were in 10th grade, we had like crazy crushes. We would drive around, like stalk these guys. We decided one night to go to the arcade where they were, and I put bronzer all over myself in a Scary Spice fro, so I thought they would think I was like a black girl, and so I could stalk them.
However, her unhinged moments go beyond being racist, as her past keeps showing some weird things that Blake has said.
Read the gossip magazines and everybody is dating everyone, everybody hates everyone, everybody's like had tons of plastic surgery and we're actually men and trannies.
While that was terrible, Blake continued to show how far she could go in displaying her state of mind to establish her point, no matter how ridiculous it might sound. Blake's text in one of her texts to Justin reads, "If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm Khaleesi, and like her, I happen to have a few dragons, for better or worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those I fight for, so we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you." In this scenario, Blake refers to her husband, Ryan, and her best friend, Taylor Swift, as her dragons who will spit fire at her command. While this might sound childish, it also passes off as ridiculous because Blake just gave people a spoiler of how the trial will end in court. In Game of Thrones, Khaleesi has dragons and pulls her weight, but Jon Snow, who has a man bun, eventually gets rid of her. Even though many people think that text might be an ignorant thing to say, it also portrays how Blake's statements sometimes are just shooting herself in the leg because she would have probably had a rethink if she remembered how the story of Khaleesi ended, and the parallel this shares with her case with Justin, who can also be likened to Jon Snow. Although this won't end on a dangerous battlefield like in Game of Thrones, it ends in court, where Blake had already predicted the outcome in her comparison with Khaleesi. Blake Lively's most known work happens to be Gossip Girl, where a lot also happened behind the scenes, with many rumors and facts to go along with it. However, Blake made some very insane moves during the Gossip Girl tour, as you wouldn't predict the derogatory derogatory comment she made about her former co-star, Leighton Meester.
Well, some of them
And required occasion.
When she made that statement, Blake pointed to Leighton even though she was beside her to further show that she was referring to her. This is wild because she also made similar jokes, calling her co-stars monkeys on that press tour.
Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them.
She got a few of them.
Come on, it was a joke.
And then went ahead to say Leighton started life from the cage, which is a direct shade to Leighton, who was born in prison. Leighton has publicly spoken about her story and how her parents were behind bars when she was born.
My parents had been part of a very interesting lifestyle, I guess you could say.
They were in prison.
Yes, okay.
But that wasn't the only time Blake came for Leighton on that press tour.
And everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway.
It's hilarious because Leighton is naturally blonde, but had to dye her hair to portray her role in Gossip Girl. But Blake was trying to say blondes are nicer because Leighton wasn't blonde in the show. And that speaks about her character and how she likes to compare herself with Leighton on who's nicer based on their character's hair color. Blake's weird moments keep getting even wilder as we break down another one for you where Blake loved the compliment crown straightener so much that she couldn't stop talking about it.
Someone on social media is calling you a crown straightener. I said, what's that? She said, a woman who goes around straightening other women's crowns. And I was just like, oh, it was just like the best compliment I've ever been given.
And the whole time, this was because Blake controls and tries to adjust people's movements and appearances in public. Also, it's almost like every interview Blake has done is unhinged based on how she answers questions, but also due to how her co-stars react whenever she's speaking by being numb, as if they can't believe whatever is coming from her mouth. The following interview further proves the point.
To make a movie that like about the female emotion and it's just like hysterical women. And I was like, no, like women also want to listen to Thom Yorke.
One significant thing that has continued to put Blake in the limelight for all the wrong reasons is when she makes unnecessary jokes that lead nowhere. Like when she said she lost her mom, even though that wasn't the case.
So sorry that we're late. I'm late because I lost my mom. She's supposed to be in Boston and she's in Barcelona. I would say understandable mistake, but not understandable. Unclear how my mother's in Boston. So if anybody watching is in Barcelona and can return my mom to me, the good news is she also lost her phone.
It wasn't speculation when people said Blake was aiming for a Barbie and Oppenheimer effect when it ends with Us and Deadpool hit the theaters, as she did everything possible to get people to see this.
Why is Deadpool Wolverine sold out? I'm sorry, I got distracted back there. I feel offended, but we're not out yet. That's fine. I'm happy about that. No, I didn't even answer it. Sorry, it's like flashing sold out.
Interestingly, it's been discovered that there are many parallels between the two films, with Ryan making fun of Justin, using the nice pool character with a man bun, even though it never became the Barbie and Oppenheimer discussion Blake wanted. The lack of accountability never seems to end, with Blake Lively in Another Moment, where she decided not to read the book before filming. Many actors have prided themselves in how they conduct extensive research to know more about their characters, going as far as reading hundreds of documents and watching as many videotapes as they can to understand their roles better. However, to have Blake dismiss the only source of the movie is the lowest an actor can go to display disrespect for their work. But then, this wouldn't be the first time Blake has filed a charge on set. In 2017, when hundreds of women, including Angelina Jolie and Cara Delevingne, were coming out to accuse the powerful film producer Harvey Weinstein of SA, Blake used that opportunity to talk about hers. Although she didn't specify what set or what year it happened, Blake spoke on how a makeup artist was regularly her on set, saying, "He was saying things inappropriately, insisting on putting my lipstick on with his finger. I was sleeping one night on location and I woke up and he was filming me. I was clothed, but it was a very voyeuristic, terrifying thing to do." After complaining to the producers about the makeup artist's actions and nothing was done, Blake filed a case against him, eventually getting him fired. While this is a valid way to go about things, especially when a woman doesn't feel safe, people have continued doubting Blake because Justin proved her side of the story can't always be conclusive until both parties have given account. There is also a little speculation that the makeup artist may have been black, which matches with some of the details earlier on how Blake might be racist and doesn't like to work with black people. Although not many people are aware of this, it's believed that Blake also offended someone close to her by encouraging and lying to cover up cheating. Hugh Jackman's ex-wife, Deborah Lee Furness, who was close with Blake, made this allegation against her as she was furious about how Blake played nice to her face despite knowing what was going on with Hugh, which led to their divorce. Hugh was married to Deborah Lee for 27 years before their divorce in 2023. Hugh has been best friends with Ryan for years, so Blake also had a cordial relationship with Deb until she disrespected the bond. After Hugh was publicly linked with Sutton Foster, Deborah Lee felt betrayed that Blake and Ryan knew about the relationship before it became public. But instead of watching out for her, they covered for Hugh. An insider close to Deborah Lee said, Deb always suspected Blake and Ryan would support Hugh after the split. What infuriates her is the possibility they knew about his connection with Sutton but chose to remain silent. Although Deb found it hard to connect with Blake because of their differences, she honestly thought they had a cordial relationship that could have at least prepared her for how her marriage turned out with Hugh. For someone who likes to protect her image by taking great offense when Justin asked for her weight so he could know if it was safe to lift her due to his back infection, it was insane for Blake to have suggested he get nose surgery. Blake strongly suggested that Justin get a rhinoplasty to correct his nose, and even though Blake excluded these details from her paperwork, she never knew Justin would have proof as his microphone was on when they were having this conversation. The lawsuit reads, Lively's comment about Baldoni's nose is also captured on camera. Rather than write down a list of grievances against Lively, Baldoni brushed it off and moved on with the scene.
I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that.
Yeah.
And then,
Another unhinged action Blake took during this period was to target one of the lowest and most vulnerable periods in Justin's life to serve him the lawsuit. Justin was evacuating the recent wildfires in Los Angeles that put many lives and properties in danger, with many neighborhoods burning to the ground. So, when Justin's family was organizing the kids and pets and preparing their go bags in response to further evacuation orders in great fear, Blake's messengers tracked Justin down to serve him. It was wicked to send servers to a dangerous evacuation zone from the comfort of her home in New York City. It's also wild that Blake and Ryan looked up to Justin to speak up to save Blake from public backlash when the controversy started spreading, but they didn't kindly go about this because they threatened Justin and even wrote him a statement that he could read to the public, which means they controlled him so much during filming that they wanted it to continue in favor of their reputation even after the movie was released and the fans were picking sides. According to the agreement about It Ends With Us, even before Blake joined the production, it was concluded that 1% of the film's proceeds would be donated to support survivors of DV. But when Blake came on board, she refused to meet with No More, an organization dedicated to ending DV by increasing awareness, inspiring action, and fueling culture change. And that action or inaction shows where Blake stands, preferring to see the movie as a rom-com instead of the sensitivity in it, which led to one of the most unhinged Blake's moments.
It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
To make it even worse and obvious how Blake took her role in the movie slightly and with ignorance, she promoted her businesses with the theme of It Ends With Us and named one of the drinks in her alcoholic line after Ryle.